For Rodger Meier, soon an orphan, his childhood wasn't easy. His son Todd remembers.
He's a great example of someone who had virtually no advantages in their life. He had physical handicaps. He didn't have a family. He had obviously very limited financial resources. Even his education was limited.
But if his eyesight wasn't good, his eyes were wide open. And by the age of 10, with a friend at a St. Louis dealership, he saw something he really loved. "I was crazy about any kind of cars, but there was something about a Cadillac," he told a reporter years later, after he became one of the nation's top Cadillac dealers. His daughters, Stacy Meier Olds and Janet Meier Greedy, know all about that.
His foster dad, Charles, a really hard-working, great man who was a big inspiration for him, had a fuel station. I believe that's what they called it back in the day. Now we call it gas station. But my dad noticed a lot of the beautiful cars coming in to the fuel station, especially the Cadillacs.
He loved cars. He talked about them. I know when he was a little boy, he dreamed about owning a dealership, and that was his big dream, was to own a dealership, a Cadillac dealership, which he did.
He had to talk his way into that dealership, and there were hundreds of applicants, most of them with much more experience. Rodger Meier had no dealership experience, but he managed to convince General Motors that his inexperience was actually an asset.
He really had faith and knew what that was about, and he translated into the real world, not just from a religious sense, but into the real world, and having faith in himself, and really felt like with the right outlook and with the right commitment and hard work and optimistic outlook, he could overcome anything.
He broke ground for Meier Cadillac on the new LBJ in 1969, and it became one of the nation's strongest dealerships. And that wasn't just because of the location.
He tried to treat the people who loved Cadillacs as much as he did, who came to try to buy one, with a lot of respect, and because he knew they had that same love of that beautiful automobile.
He really believed that the customer was paramount, and we built our entire organization around that. And there are countless stories of times where he would stop on the side of the road to help another Cadillac customer. He'd give him his car. We'd either wait for another ride, or on occasion we even walked home. It was reasonably close.
And the people that bought cars from my dad continue to come back because they felt really that they came first in my dad's mind, and they did. They were right.
He was a success as a businessman, as a civic leader, once receiving the Linz Award, and as a father, he was even Dallas's Father of the Year one year.
He was a wonderful dad. He was a lot of fun to be with, and he was funny, and he had high expectations, and he pushed us hard, but we knew that our best effort was all he asked.
I remember a particular report card that I brought home, thankfully early in my academic career, that was not very favorable. And I remember him looking at me and saying, "I'm so disappointed in you." And frankly, from that day on, I worked real hard not to disappoint him.
Rodger Meier never forgot his own struggles as a boy. He devoted himself to a number of Dallas civic causes, including the Salesmanship Club, particularly their summer camps, and he took his own kids.
Even though he had some stumbles along the way, he did have just enough adults in his life who taught him the right way to live your life and showed him that he was special.
He tried to do that for his own kids and for those he met at Salesmanship Club camps.
So I think he'd say to virtually anybody in this audience this evening, or any kids listening, that dream big and you can do it.
And tonight we welcome to the Dallas Business Hall of Fame a man who dreamed big. Our legacy laureate, Rodger Meier.